This is attorney Harold Respishow, and this is the Respishow. Today is Friday, May 14, 2021. This is our best episode yet because here with me still my good friend, best guest, Butch V. You know what? Before anything, Butch told me last week that I should replace him as my partner and get another partner as young as I am. But, ayoko kasi I asked my mom, how was the show? And my mom told me, keep Butch because he lends you credibility. Because I tend to say stupid things. So thank you so much, Butch, for staying with me.
Well, I have to thank your mother for believing in me in that way. Pero kanya naman po kasama namin si Attorney Respishow dito is because I believe in him. And though he is, he's not as white-haired as me, no? Pero ang kaalaman niya at ang puso niya, no? Nakikita ko po ay nandun para sa ating bansa, no? At nakikita ko that he's looking forward into what the country is going to be in later on. And then, if he's in a profession of law, no, where does it fit into that whole program, no? Kaya po kami sa dito, sabi ko, we'll make it a little different. Of course, we're open, di ba?
Right.
We're open to mga questions of law, kung may mga kaso, kung minsan may problema sa mga tao at humingi ng konsultasyon. Hindi natin mapipigilan yan kasi attorney po yung katabi natin eh. No? Pero sa akin po, gusto kong bigyan ng konting pagkakaiba ng konti, no? At tataas natin ng issues a little bit more than just consultation, no? For example, isa sa mga gusto kong itanong ngayon kay attorney,
Right.
bilang isang just as an ordinary citizen, a young professional, no? One of the things that confronts us, especially kayo din, I'm sure dito sa legal profession, no? Are you in favor of death penalty?
Oh gosh. Well, I read classic books.
Okay.
And the setting is usually during the medieval times.
Okay.
And you know naman, yung mga punishments doon is quartering, tanggal ulo, tanggal kamay, and then ilalagay sa gates ng Tower of London. Ano yung purpose ng mga punishment na yon? Para maipakita sa mga tao na, hey, huwag mong gawin tong masamang gawain na to dahil kung hindi, papatayin kita. And yung mga sentencing doon, yung pagbitay, para siyang party. Nung panahon na iyon, para talaga may pakita sa tao na
Talagang public, no?
Right.
Public executions.
right. So whether I like death penalty or not, on the one hand, maganda siya to deter
Okay.
ng mga heinous crimes. On the other hand, may sentiment na nagsasabi, baka masyadong harsh, sayang naman, karapatan niyang mabuhay, baka mayroon pa siyang pag-asang magbago, pagbigyan mo naman siya ng chance niya na ma-live yung the rest ng buhay niya, isa lang ang chance niya, pagbigyan mo na. Or, kung talagang galit ka sa kanya, ikulong mo na lang siya. Parang ulin naman ang effect nun eh. Kung ikulong mo siya sa hell or heaven, ikulong mo na lang siya muna sa bilibid. At least, baka meron pa siyang magawang magandang buhay sa bilibid.
Ito yung reclusion perpetua.
Yep. Or life imprisonment.
Pero, Ute, yung sabi mo, you mentioned heinous crimes and all of that, no? Siguro naman, meron mga kinds of penalties, no? Na might be deserving of the death penalty. For example, no? marami tayong nakikita itong mga heinous crimes, yung mga merciless killing of a household. Papasok sila, papatay nila. Lahat, no? Just for fun. Maybe they're drug crazed or what, no? How do you approach that kind of thing? Minsan buong pamilya papatay nila tapos mga durog lang sila sa droga.
All right.
Paano 'yon?
This is how the Constitution approaches heinous crimes. The Constitution leaves it to the Congress to define what heinous crimes are. I think 1 or 2 points in the past, the Congress defined what heinous crimes are. And I think rape, murder were included. So, if the Congress thinks that these sort of crimes, yung pagpasok sa bahay tapos robbery with murder yun eh. And then may rape pa. Kung yun, I think definition na yan dati. And kapag sa tingin ng Congress ay dapat silang parusahan ng kamatayan, nasa Congress yun. Kung gusto ng Congress na patayin sila, mamatay sila. Pero in the meantime, wala tayong death penalty.
In the meantime, wala tayong death penalty. Okay, as a law.
As a law, pero provided ng Constitution, ibig sabihin, may provision, pwede kapag gugustuhin ng Congress.
So yun. So every time Congress can pass a law and then another Congress can repeal it. Ganyan.
Exactly, that is what happened.
Yun ang nangyari.
Yep.
Now, for example, what about treason, for example? Yung pagbebenta ng national security mo or laban sa bayan mo, kumampi ka sa kalaban, all of these things that can be included. Ano ba yung treason ba? Before we go.
Well, treason in layman's terms, kapag nasa war ang Philippines against sa external forces, usually ibang bansa, ibig sabihin nasa state of war tayo, and then kumampi ka sa external force na yon sa kalaban, ang tawag dyan treason. In practice, halimbawa pumunta dito ang mga Hapon, and then sabi ng mga Hapon, papatayin kita kung hindi ka manunumpa ng allegiance sa amin. Kapag nanumpa ka ng allegiance sa kanila, treason na yun. Tandaan ninyo na yung treason ay nangyayari lamang kapag may war.
Kanya na-execute yung lolo ko.
Oh, what happened to your lolo? Tell me about
My lolo is Chief Justice of Butch Santos.
Wow. Okay, tell me about him. It's
Butch
interesting.
Santos. Yun nga, he was then the acting head of state, no? And then the Japanese went after him, no? And asked him to swear allegiance to Japan,
Right?
no? And he says he cannot do that, no? And therefore they had to put him on the firing squad. No? That's why his statue right now is there in the Supreme Court, no? Chief Justice Jose Santos. No?
Wow, what a noble thing to do. But Butch, can you tell me, were there personalities during the same time that committed treason, who committed treason against the Philippines?
I think so. No?
Oh, tell me some juicy news.
Dapat itanong natin dito sa mga kamag-anak ng mga Aquino, no? Yung tatay ni Benigno Aquino Jr., si Benigno Aquino Sr. No?
So who is Benigno Aquino Jr.? Is he Ninoy?
Ninoy.
All right, so President Aquino was the third. Oh, I see.
No, President, the third.
So the lolo of the president.
The lolo of the
Okay.
president.
He was alive then. The lolo
Yeah.
was adult during 1945, something
Right.
like that. And then what happened?
He supposedly worked with the Japanese against many against Filipino interests and national interests. And actually, when the Americans came, he had to be evacuated to Japan. No? And the Japanese saw him there. And after the war, the Americans had to arrest him in Japan.
Right?
Brought him here in the Philippines to be indicted. And right before the court proceedings, he died of a heart attack.
That's another way of escaping. All right, tip tip. Instead na magpakamatay kayo sa loob ng bilibid or instead tumakas kayo at barilin kayo, baka mas madali yon to escape justice. So you mean to say your lolo is the same Abad Santos as the one at the back of the 1,000 peso bill?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that's I'm an Abad Santos. I'm Antonio Abad Santos Valdes. No?
Pwede pa autograph? Okay, that's honorable, that's heroic, that's so martyric. And
Well, kasi meron mga ganyan. And I remember very well, I mean, in the stories that they did. And now it's all in the history books. These things are when he was being led and his son was crying. No?
that was your father?
No. It's on my mother's side.
Father's side. Oh.
His son was crying that he was being led to be executed. He says, do not cry. To give one's country to give one's life for your country is a privilege given to very few.
Wow, parang yun yung materialization ng Filipino is worth dying for.
Right.
Pwede mo yung
Pero-
Filipino is worth dying for is a statement, wala pang nangyayari, pero yung sa'yo, nangyari na.
Right. Well, kaya makikita nyo siya, yung statue niya andun sa Supreme Court. No? Kaya. Any rate, gusto ko pang magtanong dito sa iba-ibang mga laws natin. What do you think is any law that needs to be repealed in your mind that has to do with criminal law or civil law?
Alright, let me advance. Thank you so much, Butch. Last episode, I told you, I think I said something radical. And I said, it's okay, Butch. You're there. I don't look stupid when you're there. You lend me credibility. It's alright. You temper my radicalism. And hey, I'm becoming radical again. You know what? In other countries, merong idea na illegalize yung drugs.
Legalization of drugs. Okay.
Dito sa Philippines, parang wala pang narinig na personality na nag-propose ng legalization ng drugs. Except yung siguro kapag nasuggest mo na. But the idea is, right now, maraming nagsusupply ng drugs between gangs and customers, between gangs, customers, and the police, maraming nagmamatay. Kasi nagsisiraan sila ng business, nagkokotongan, naglolokohan, naglalaglagan. So, nagpapatayin sila ang daming crimes. And ngayon, madami sa mga na prosecute ng Section 5 and Section 11, pushing and then possession, marami sa kanila ang hindi talaga totoong kriminal. Naka-encounter na ako ng at least 2 na nagpa-consult sa akin na sabi nila, is set up talaga. Pumunta sa bahay nila, kinatok, kinuha, inagay sa van, question sa loob ng van, maglaglag ka, magsabi ka ng mga sino pang pusher or user sa community mo, otherwise dadalhin ka namin sa PIDEA at ipoprosecute ka namin. Wala siyang masabi at that time, dinala siya sa PIDEA, nabugbog ng kaonte, pinapirma ng document kunwari na agreement na may pag-cooperate sa kanila, pinituran, etc. na merong appearance ng formality. And then binalik sa van, konting bugbog ulit, naglaglag siya ng mga pangalan. Napilitan na siyang maglaglag ng pangalan. Hence, nakawala siya. And then yung nilaglag niya na pangalan, na aresto. Minit ko tong tao na to, ayaw niyang umakyat sa office kasi takot na takot. Nandun siya sa baba, kasama niya yung dalawang ate niya, wala silang ibang kasama, babae pa yung kasama niya, takot na takot. Nung pagpunta niya daw sa office, baka daw may sumusunod sa kanya. Kasi instances before that meeting, may mga sumunod sa kanya. Wow, nakakaawa naman ito. Pero kapag tinanggal mo yung Dangerous Drugs Act, mawawala lahat itong gangs na to, mawawala yung police, mawawala yung industry, mawawala yung mga user. Hindi na sila mag-aaway-away, wala nang tao na wrongly prosecute. At the same time, pareho pa rin ba yung amount of consumption ng illegal drugs? I submit yes. It's the same as alcohol. Remember, during the beginning ng 20th century, naban ang alcohol sa United States kasi lahat ng mga lalaki sa United States, pumunta ata ng World War I o World War II, natira yung mga babae, and so yung mga babae ang nag-legislate, hindi ako sexism pero sabi nila, since syempre, medyo conservative sila, ayaw nila ng alcohol, na legislate, bawal alcohol. Pagbalik ng mga lalaki, bawal ng alcohol. So merong nagkaroon ng mga, anong tawag doon, yung mga speakeasy, yung mga hidden bars, doon sila nag-iinuman, nagkaroon ng mga gangs, parang drugs din, nag-aaway, nagbabarilan, marami ang namamatay. Pero, nilegalize ang alcohol. Yung consumption ng alcohol, pareho pa rin ba? Pareho pa rin. Pero, anong difference? Nawala yung patayan, nawala yung injustice sa mga wrongly prosecute. I submit na ganun din yung effect kapag criminalize mo ang drugs.
Pero, well, that's one argument. No?
Yeah.
But let me play a little contra to that. No?
Okay.
Kasi yung alcohol and drugs are completely different, no? And in terms of affecting the psyche of the person, apparently, yung chemical reaction ng drug sa brain ng tao, no, causes him really to lose his equanimity, everything, no? He's led to other types of crimes. And then the level of addiction is much more severe than if it were just drinking, no? The level of addiction is such that after that, pag nakahawak na siyang he needs to feed himself with more and more drugs, and in which case, no, he has to buy more. In which case, in order to be able to buy more, he steals. In which case, in order to be able to get more money, he pushes drugs, and so on and so on. It gets to be such a way now. It destroys society, and it seems to have done that in many areas. That's why it is now a universal position of many countries, no, that there is this war on drugs, no, that now the problem is it makes so much money, and then the people that are making a lot of money on this are people that are actually advocating drug legalization, like George Soros. No? George Soros is one person who has set up organizations for drug legalization, no? And as a matter of fact, his claim is that like that you cannot lessen the use of drugs because it is a commodity that's available. It's a commodity even available organically. Yung mga tanim-tanim ng opium and so on and so forth. So what happens is let's just make money on it. But the problem with making money on it, there's a lot of money that you can make, and government can make money on it also. But ang problema dyan, what does it do to society? No? So the level of crime that is committed due to drugs, no, escalates in many different forms. Yun ang palagay kong naiisip ng mga ibang tao kung bakit ayaw nila. By the way, you're not alone in wanting to legalize drugs. Dito sa Congress, meron na talaga. No? Meron na. But I go back again in history. Dito po sa dati sa China, no, in the last decades of 1800s, or even a little before, nagkaroon po sila ng problema dyan because the British were pushing China to buy opium, which they were producing in southern India. The British wanted to use this because they were importing so much tea from China. At sabi niya, there is a trade imbalance. So kailangan meron tayong ibenta sa China para meron naman balansyado because China was not importing anything from England. So they produce opium at tinulak nila dito. And soon enough, the emperor of China saw na nagkaroon ng sa society. Everybody became drugged. They were not producing. They were not working. Ang level of addiction and level of crimes also were increasing. So he could not get the society to function. No? And so what he did when it was he gave an edict that he says everyone caught using drugs or selling drugs will be decapitated and executed. And he did. Yun ang ina. Siyempre, galit na galit yung mga British kasi he outlawed the use of and that became the beginning what we call the Opium War.
Opium War.
And then the Opium War, natalo yung China dahil siyempre, and they had to cede Hong Kong for 100 years together with Macau to the Portuguese. But yung going back to the emperor that was decapitated, alam mo yung mga emperor as they're young, meron silang parang tutor, no? Nung bata sila, yung tutor nila, that is the tutor for life, no? Mm-hmm. And as he grows up, nandun palagi yung kanyang tutor. He was like a father to him, no? At any rate, so at one time, the story goes na when they were going after all of this, siyempre, there were mga intelligence and sino yung ganito, sino ganyan. Nahuli nila yung tutor ng emperor was a drug user. And he was brought in front of the emperor. And then the emperor was hesitant. Kasi meron siyang rule no?
Right.
Pero ito parang tatay niya. Sinabi nung tutor niya, you have to do in accordance with your pronouncement or else nobody's going to believe you. So he had to get his tutor executed. No, I just wanted as an aside, no? Yeah. And what happens to these countries that go all the way out into these things? I don't know about, meron din iba naman levels kasi yan no? May opium, may heroin, no? May artificial, yung shabu, no? Kasi iba-ibang yan, ang tabi nila, no? And then meron pang marijuana, di ba? And then after down to marijuana, meron ka ng cigarettes, di ba? Mm-hmm. So it stops on cigarettes, but even the cigarettes are now being banned, di ba?
Right.
So I just wanted to know that, but it's good that you brought that out because talagang there is a problem. Now, is the problem if we legalize? It's just like legalizing. Let's just legalize other things. Like, what is the oldest profession in the world?
Prostitution.
Okay. Let's just legalize prostitution, no? Since you cannot stop it.
Right.
No? Or on other areas also that you want legalized. No? Pero in this particular case, should it be to allow the use the same way there was a ban in alcohol done and then opened up? That will be the solution, or no? Is there enough will or capability to be able to prevent its use? Are there enough laws? Are there enough capabilities of governments to be able to do this? And the reason naging parang international yan, kasi international yung drugs ngayon di ba?
Right.
Yung hindi mo na mapigil where it enters your country, no? and then it's used, and then sa'yo, nagiging jump off point ka naman for export to another country. Kaya nagiging ganyan. Problemado, no?
Alright. Well, I think, Butch, we can agree na yung state ng Philippines ngayon, so far as drug management is concerned, is unsatisfactory. So if you were to propose a measure, anong measure na yon para maging satisfactory yung state?
Sa akin, the implementation of the laws, no, against drugs is what is problematic, and I mean the police, no? Because they're the ones supposed to be doing all of these things, and then there's so much money. The police is being corrupted,
Right.
and then the problema sa police, they are a military organization, no? Wherein, what's a military organization? The head is the head, and then everybody follows. So if you are able to corrupt the head, no, and you say you give him 5 million pesos, say, a month or something, now that head has to make sure that the people that are not supposed to be caught, no, are not caught.
Right.
So he cannot do that himself. He has to tell his people, huwag mong huliin yan. Bata natin yan. But in order to do that, he's got to share that 5 million with this guy. And it goes down the line. So you have corrupted the whole system. Okay. How do you stop it? You cannot not have police, right?
Right.
Ang akin, personally, but you can
Sure.
disagree with me, ah.
Yep.
Personally, ang sabi ko, ang kanyang madaling i-corrupt yung police on that level, no? Because it is a national organization. In other words, yung chief of police, no? Pag yun lang na-corrupt mo, o yung mga taong nandiyan sa taas, mabilis mag-spread yung influence ng pera mo if you're the drug lord. On the other hand, if the police is not national in structure, but instead localized, as we used to have it before, wherein the mayor is in charge of the police.
Right.
What will happen? It will be more and more difficult for the drug lords to work these networks, because they have to work per city, per town,
Right.
and get the police, chief of police there, and then so, and then, pero town lang ang hawak niya. Pero pag hawak mo yung PNP chief, buong bansa ng hawak mo. And this is, now, pag town lang yan or city, and you have a PDEA that is determined to do what they're mandated to do, it will be easier to focus all their efforts on that one town that you have discovered to be drug infested. And then in other words, you will be able to maximize your policing effort as far as that's good, by just making it difficult for the drug lords to operate, because dadamihin mo yung kanyang problema eh.
Spoken like a real manager, Butch. Para sa ating audience, Butch was a managing partner of a consulting firm before. Once, second sa buong industry, di ba? Buong industry ng consulting sa Philippines, lahat ng about business advice, accounting, etc., financial, expert si Butch yan. Number one, kaya ang galing niya about sa management. I think there's not much difference between business and political management, no?
Well, you use the same logic, use of the reasoning, and then what you call internal controls, no?
Exactly.
You make
Hindi
it-
alam ng taong bayan kung anong internal controls, pero ako na nagsasabi sa'yo, kasi si din ako, napakahalaga niyan sa audit. Kapag walang internal controls, bagsak lahat ng financial statement mo, may nandadaya talaga.
Right.
Ganon din sa management. Ganon din sa management. Ganon din, I think, sa legal practice. I think sa lahat ng organizations, dapat may internal controls to
Right.
make sure na ma-achieve yung objectives ng organization and walang conflicts of interest. Therefore, walang butas para makapagnakaw, walang butas para maging corrupt. Alright, masyadong vague, Butch. Ikaw ang magpaliwanag sa akin ng napakasimple.
Well, ang tinatawag na check and balance, yan ang prinsipyo ng internal control. Dito po sa ating gobyerno, meron po tayong tatlong sangay, di ba?
Right.
The executive, kung saan ang presidente, yung judiciary, tsaka yung legislative. No? Lahat po yan nag-check and balance. Yung presidente, tsaka yung kabinete niya, hanggang doon sa barangay, ito yung executive. Sila ang implement ng mga batas, no? Yung legislative, sila ang gumagawa ng batas, no? Tapos yung judiciary, sila ang nagde-decide kung yung batas ay ayon sa ating konstitusyon.
Right.
So, and nag-check yan. Kung may gagawin ng legislative yung mga batas na laban sa konstitusyon, sasabihin ng ating Supreme Court na sa judiciary, oy, bawal yan, hindi pwede yan. Okay. O kaya may gagawin ng presidente ng hindi ayon sa batas o hindi ayon sa konstitusyon, sasabihin din ng ating Korte Suprema, oh, bawal yan, hindi pwede yan sa ating saligang batas. Kanya po ganyan check and balance. Ngayon din, pag meron po kayong ibaba natin sa lahat ng mga organisasyon, meron din po kayong ganito. For example, pagdating mo sa negosyo, yung negosyo, meron kang umahawak ng pera, no? Pero meron ka din na nagsusulat kung magkano yung kinita. Iba yung humahawak ng pera at iba yung nagsusulat kung magkano kinita.
Isa pa. Iba yung not-approve. Tatlo yun, di ba? Sa auditing.
Hindi yung iba pa rin yung nag-a-approve.
Right.
So, ngayon, sigurado bang walang nakawain yan? Hindi sigurado. Katulad po ng maraming sinasabi natin, maski na itong sa police, nabi natin sa PNP, dapat bigay na lang sa mayor. Hindi sigurado na walang anomalya. Kasi pwedeng magkuntsabahan. You can conspire. No? Pag magkukuntsaba sila, siyempre makakalusot sila. Pero kung gagawin mo ang isang paraan para mas mahirap ang kuntsabahan, no? Na-maintain mo at na minimize mo, nabababaan mo ang opportunity for graft and corruption. No? And this is the basic principle dapat nating palaging ginagamit. Is that being used in government? No. No, the check and balances do not work. No? As a matter of fact, kung minsan, ang iniisip pa ng mga tao, kailangan wag mag-kontra ang Congress sa presidente, no? Dapat pareho sabay sila para mas mabilis tayo mailalabas yung mga batas. Hindi po ganyan yung prinsipyo eh. Pagtiisan na lang natin yung matagal, pero nag-check sila. Napakadali kung lolokohin nila ang taong bayan, di nagkontsaba na lang ang presidente tsaka Congress, at nangyayari naman po yun, hindi po ba? Kung gusto niyong madalian, di nagkontsaba na lang yung Supreme Court tsaka ang presidente, at nangyayari din po yan, di ba? Laban sa interes ng tao.
Anong example, Butch, na kapag nagkuntsaba yung legislature and then executive and or yung judiciary, anong example na batas na pwedeng gawin para i-oppress yung taong bayan?
Hindi ko alam ko. Timo na, mabigat yung tanong mo. Pag basta nagsama-sama sila, for example,
Let's say taxation. Taxation. The power to tax is in the legislature, and then yung treasury may hawak ng pera ng taong bayan is nasa executive. And then sinabi ng president, alright, since I'm the legislature also, I want to tax ganito kataas. And since akin din yung Supreme Court, walang magsasabi na mali ako. Therefore, kaya ko kayong i-tax ng 70%, 90%. Ano magagawa niyo, taong bayan? Hindi kayo pwedeng kumontra unless maghimaksikan kayo or magrebel kayo. Kung hindi niyo kaya yung government, ang gagawin ng presidente, hey, batas yan. Hey, hindi ako na-overturn ng Supreme Court. Hey, may military ako. Sige, subukan yung mag-rebel at papatayin ko kayo. Yun ang mangyari sa inyo. Yun yung sinasabi ni Butch na oppression. Yun yung sinasabi ni Butch kapag nag-fail yung check and balances between these three foundational segments ng ating political system.
Pag nagsama-sama yan, di ba?
Right.
Saka hindi lang dyan sa taxation, marami pang iba ngayon na kikita na po natin, no? At nangyayari yan araw-araw. Itong malungkot din, nangyayari araw-araw sa harap-harapan natin. No? Tapos, and then, whenever it's like that, at wala ng check and balance, ano pong nangyayari? Corruption. No?
Right.
Corruption, bilihan, kita dito. O, ipasan nyo itong batas na ito, bibigyan ko kayo ng ganito. No? Bibigyan ko kayo ng mas malaking pondo para dito sa mga proyekto, ganyan-ganyan. Pasan nyo lang ito o sabihin nyo din sa Supreme Court, wag mong sabihin na unconstitutional yan. For example, itong mga nakaraang ginawa ni Noynoy Aquino, puro unconstitutional yung ginawa nila. Yung pag-agree niya sa Amerikano, dito sa EDCA, unconstitutional yan. Pero anong ginawa? Binayaran nila. Tapos, naging constitutional. Naging batas. No? Linoloko nila ang taong bayan. No? Tapos, yung sumunod na administrasyon, hindi na nila hahalungkatin yun. No? Hindi na nila halungkatin yun na nangyari na eh. No?
One more idea, Butch. If you look at the regime ng laws ng Philippines, merong mga controls eh. And i-compare mo sila sa regime sa ibang bansa, halimbawa South Korea or Japan, more or less siguro parang pareho sila. Yun lang, ang speculation ko lang yun. Pero ang difference is, dito sa Philippines, marami pa ring corruption. Whereas, dun sa ibang bansa, merong corruption siguro, pero hindi siya sobrang apparent. Hindi niya naapektuhan yung society at large. And if I examine these two states, ang difference is culture. Gusto ko siyang i-compare sa university setting. So, when I was in high school, medyo may kopyahan. Medyo may kopyahan, but hey, ako yung pinakamagaling na lalaki sa ano namin, no? Sa batch namin, ako yung nagpapakopya. But, maraming nagkakopyahan. And I think, nakakalusot kami kasi, nakangopya yung isa. Yung matalino na nagre-review, wala rin ibang magawa. Kasi ganun yung sistema, makangopya rin.
Yeah.
Kasi yung teacher, hindi rin kami sinusuway, hindi kami binabagsak. Yung administration, hindi kami sinisipa. At saka yung mga ibang school, meron pa mga teacher na nababayaran, principal na nababayaran para hindi i-kick out. I-compare mo yun nung pumunta ako ng Lasal, undergrad, pumunta ako ng Ateneo Law School, mas lalo na, tingnan mo yung culture doon. May kopyahan ba? Wala. Walang kopyahan.
Sa Ateneo, walang kopyahan?
Ateneo Law School, wala.
Okay.
Sa Lasal, ayoko lang magsalita, pero wala in general. Kapag tinagal mo siguro, wala siguro. Wala, pero pinagsisihan ko yun. Napahiya, nakakahiya, pero walang papiyahan talaga sa Lasal. Walang papiyahan sa Ateneo. Bakit hindi kami nagkapapiyahan? Kasi takot kami na mahuli. Once mahuli ka ng pro, kick out ka talaga automatic.
Tanggal.
Wala nagkakapiyahan. Sa Ateneo, pag mahuli ako ng mahuli ka, ay, sobrang nakakaya. Baka hindi ka na makapasok sa kahit na anong law school kapag ma-kick out ka sa law school ng Ateneo. So, anong sinasabi ko? Kapag yung nasa taas, yung dean, yung president ng school, sinabi niya, ito yung policy natin, basta may mga kick out, susunod lahat. Kasi mismo yung leader, yun ang ginagawa eh. Ngayon, baguhin mo, dalhin mo nung high school ako. Sorry kung sino yung high school na. Hindi ko kasi sinabi. Sabi ko kayong lahat. Galing sa probinsya. Isabela ako. Huwag niyo akong pagalitan. Pero ito yung totoo. Imagine mo kung yung principal mismo, tinatolerate na yung ganong practice or nag-turn siya ng blind eye sa ganong practice.
Right.
Anong mararamdaman ng mga teachers? Anong mararamdaman ng mga ganong student? Alam nila na hindi sila mapaparusahan. Rampant talaga yung cheating sa buong school. I think the same is true sa politics dito sa Philippines on how we implement our laws, paano yung dynamics ng mga government official natin. Medyo may cheating. May cheating kasi hindi stricto yung mga nasa taas or yung mga nasa taas mismo ay sila. Yung mga i-compare mo yun sa ibang bansa. I think hindi naman sa hindi ako masyadong loyal sa ating bansa, pero i-compare mo sa ibang bansa, I think, kung titingnan mo lang sa face, parang medyo stricto sila. Nagpapakamatay pa nga sila kung merong accusation ng corruption Pero tingnan mo sa baba, may corruption ba? Halos wala. I think, yun, culture is key.
Culture and also structure, I think, no? Siguro, you have to be, yung level of maturity, no, has to be reached. Pero alam mo, it's a ibig sabihin, chicken and egg, no? Yung level of maturity natin may not be reached because we keep our people down, no? We want to keep our people down, and that has been a process over the past so many decades that I have noticed, no? The media has a lot to do with it. Our educational system has a lot to do with it. No? And the direction given by our leaders, the fact that there is no direction, no national goal, no national objective that our leader gives, no, also lends to this whole situation. The other thing is, dito sa atin, whatever it is, I have to go back to the problem. Meron tayong oligarchic control. No? There are a few rich families that are in bed with government officials, no? So that they are given opportunities for business, no? That lends to this destruction of morality and everything else down the line. Ano yung ibig sabihin? Ang public utilities, di ko pwedeng hindi i-mention. Ang tubig, electricity, the telecom, lahat ito, hospital, healthcare, no, ay hawak ngayon ng private sector. Binigay ng gobyerno sa kanila. Itong pagbigay ng gobyerno sa kanila is an abdication of government of its role. Because public utilities must first and foremost benefit the public and not the private sector. Pag binigyan mong negosyo, hindi lang binigyan mong negosyo, sinabi mo pa sa kanila, sige, kayo nang bahala dyan, hindi na kami makikialam. So, ang nangyari, tumaas ang halaga ng kuryente at lahat. Ang namamatay yung tao, pero dahil binigay ko sa kanila to, ito mga to, binibigyan din ako na nasa gobyerno. Siyempre, so it's like a public-private partnership na sinasabi nila. No?
Right.
Yan ang structure. Kung ganyan ang structure mo, yung idea of corruption will permeate. Kanya-kanya ng kilos yan because alam nila ganitong sistema. No? Alam nila. So, you have congressmen, hingi sa oligarko kasi alam nila itong oligarko, itong pinagkikitaan So, sa hingi siya ng pera, no? Para maprotektahan yon, bibigyan naman niya. Bibigyan niya yung Congress, bibigyan niya yung Senado. Pati ang presidente, kaya nilang bigyan. No? Dahil sa laki ng kinikita nila sa taong, galing sa taong bayan. This is what is the sad situation. So it is both culture, I suppose, no, and structure yung nangyari sa atin, no, at nangyayari sa atin. Kailangan palitan natin sarili natin. Tingnan mo, sabihin natin culture. We're supposed to be a Christian nation. No? We're supposed to be following certain norms, certain rules of our faith, morality, honesty, things that love for our neighbor, and so on and so forth. And yet, these things seem to be a different world altogether when it comes to dealing with each other in the public, no?
Right.
Yeah. Paano nangyayari ito, no? Siyempre siguro ang mga pari din natin, mga corrupt, di ba? Hindi, may mga ganyan eh.
You know, Butch, sorry to interrupt. It's funny. Gosh, papatay na ata ako nito. Just this afternoon, a priest went for consultation. Of course, I won't name him. And he doesn't know what my law permits. But syempre, associates, we discuss clients' concerns para naman meaningful yung advice na ibibigay namin. So he went to our office. By day, he carries out mass. By night, I don't know what he's doing with his video camera on his laptop because he had compromising images and maybe videos that are being used to blackmail him or her. I'm not saying. See, that's what Butch is saying. We are holy during the day, and we are a bit naughty at night.
Wow.
But see,
Yun ang nangyayari. So,
we have identity crisis. You know what? All these things that we are telling you right now may sound fantastical, Butch. But remember, Butch has been in this business for decades. You had better believe him. He would not tell these things if he were not sure about them or if he did not have a first-hand account about these matters. And look at me, as young as I am, because I am exposed to these issues through my legal profession, I can tell you, these are true.
yan ang talagang nangyayari ngayon. And I'm glad. The legal profession is one of the most maligned professions nowadays, di ba? But it's an honorable profession.
Supposed to be.
And because it's a profession that talks about laws.
Right.
And laws are supposed to be the ones that are used to govern people. No? And that those laws are created because they're supposed to serve the interests of the people. So, kung sino man ng others are called counselors, di ba?
Yeah, because you counsel.
Because you're counseling. Dahil alam mo yung batas eh, no? Ang nakakalungkot lang talaga, no? Parang nalihis, nawala dito ang and very few are as idealistic as Harold Deere, no? That's the sad part, no? And many when I have asked many lawyers before, and they're not as candid as you. It is not a mutual admiration society, no? Pero they're not as candid as
Gabi na
you.
lang mo Gabi, Butch. Gabi ngayon. Just kidding.
Ayan. Sabi ko, kasi tatanong ko sa kanila, ano bang, you've been practicing that say for so many years. If you were to reform, I said, the judiciary, what would you do? They're blank eh. No? They don't know where to start. Sabi ko, the practice of law has apparently been now a lot of compromising to be made, no? So that the many lawyers look at the case and look at what will make their client happy, what will make their opposition happy, and what will make the judge happy.
Right.
Once you have that, it's a win-win situation. Finished. No, but who cares about the truth?
Right. You know what, Butch? They are not always happy, especially the accused. Just this day, kala nyo nagsisungaling ako, ang dami kong nakakausap today. It's true. I speak with about 8 clients a day. New clients. You know, one client, sabi niya, just convicted on the plea of guilty as a result of plea bargaining. Ibig sabihin ng plea bargaining, nag-agree yung judge, nag-agree yung prosecutor, nag-agree yung private complainant, and nag-agree yung accused. Diba? Win, 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 win. So guilty siya, nagulat siya, bakit tigta 10 years, 3 counts ng rape? 3 counts ng rape. Sabi niya, hindi ko naiintindihan yun. Pumunta yung PAO lawyer dun sa selda ko and sabi niya, laban ka ba? Laban ka na? Parang hindi ka mananalo. Pasok ka na sa plea bargaining. 5 years lang yan. O syempre, niwala siya, 5 years lang. Pero nakita niya, tigta 10 years na 3. Tigta 10 years na 3. Kaya nagre-reklamo siya ngayon. Naging final na hindi siya. Sabi ko, mag-motion for reconsideration kayo. Mag-appeal kayo kasi question ninyo na hindi effective yung counsel ng PAO. Kasi dapat, ayon sa batas, ang counsel ng PAO or counsel de officio o kahit anong counsel man yan, dapat effective. Dapat mabigyan ka ng advice na effective kung nag-plea ka ng guilty. Nasa rules of court yan. Pwede mong isubmit na hindi effective yung advice mo kasi nga may misrepresentation ng facts. Hindi ko alam kung intended o hindi through ignorance o malice, pero may misrepresentation pa rin ng facts. So hindi effective yung advice. Dapat i-overturn yung conviction mo.
Di no, anti ko doon, sa storyang ito, di ba? Parang nagmamadali na yung abogado para mag-ayos-ayos na. Para hindi na siya masyadong matatagalan with that case. Baka this is the situation. They are not concerned. Some lawyers are not concerned about the truth. Let's say, totoo ba ang sinasabi ng akusado, no? O totoo ba yung sinasabi ng kliyente ng isa? What is the truth? And that's what you look for, no? And determine who is guilty or not, no?
Right.
Dapat ang kaso, pag nagkakaayusan na ganyan, itapon mo na yung katotohanan sa bintana. Nobody cares about the truth. It's all ayusan. No? Ay, bakit ganyan? No?
Convenient daw kasi sa judge para wala ng trial. Pero okay, syempre. Dapat walang trial. Okay lang yun. Laudable yun na paikliin yung trial kung gusto naman ng lahat. On the part ng private complaint, okay na yun. At least hindi na siya masyadong masaktan during the trial proceedings kasi mahirap alalahanin eh. Pero on the part ng PAO, sorry mga PAO na kalaban ko sa mga trials, sana wag kayo masyadong magalit sa akin, wag niyo akong pahirapan sa next series. Pero, syempre, ano bang incentive ng mga PAO? Syempre, sumesolve sila regular. Ito rin sabi ng client kanina sa akin. Kasama ng loob niya, kasi sabi niya, sila kasi sumesweldo, regular, wala nang ibang iniisip, tapos ang daming binabato sa kanila ng kaso. Kaya meron silang incentive na paikliin yung mga kaso nila, tapusin na kaagad. And in the process, na-undermine na yung interest ng client nila. Kaya sabi ko sa kanila, that's a concern. Kasi compare mo yan sa isang private lawyer, hindi naman sa tayo sarili ko. Pero, syempre, nagbayad ka sa amin, and then magagalit ka sa makukonsensya kami kapag natalo kami sa kaso mo kasi ang laki ng binayad mo sa amin. Syempre, magpapakahirap kami. And i-add mo yan sa fact na mahal namin yung profession namin, tapos plus bayad pa kami, tapos gusto namin pagsilbihan talaga yung client para makuha yung justice. Magtiwala ka na yung i-advise namin sa iyo ay katotohanan, best advice, at ipoprosecute namin yung case to your best interest.
Okay, very good. I don't know if we have, it's about time to read the text messages coming from our listeners.
All right. It's reading time. Wilfredo Openiano. Sounds familiar. Were you here last time? Good evening, Prof. Butch, Attorney Respicio, mga sir. Kaya po nawawasa ang isang organisasyon o samahan dahil po sa pondo. Mas ito ang pangunahing dahilan sa pera. Kaiba lang po sa gobyerno. Nagsasapwatan sa paggawa ng korupsyon. Right, possible na mag-corrupt sa pondo. That's possible. Pero you know what? I think the bigger business is money coming from outside to influence the official to do something. Whether that official is an assemblyman, a congressman, senator, judge, public, etc. Mas malaking peke. Elvinia Gahisan, watching from Molino, Bacoor. Hello there. Good evening. Marisa Buyao, watching from Hong Kong. Konnichiwa. Is that right? Ni hao. Kapag Cantonese.
Ni hao.
Cantonese. Alright. John Cyril Onato. Good evening, sir. Butch at Attorney Harold. Nice seeing you again, Cyril. I remember that name. Saint Cyril. Ako, agree ako sa death penalty. Sana...
Meron pa doon sa taas, si Betchay.
Ay, tapusin mo natin si Cyril.
Sige.
Sa ating gobyerno, buhayin nila ang death penalty para mabawasan ang mga kriminal at oligarko sa ating bansa. Valid point! Paki-return sa taas.
Yung isa.
Si Betchay. Betchay.
Yeah.
Hi, Betchay! Gandang gabi po, Sir Butch and Attorney Respi. Loyal ka, Betchay, ha? I remember you during the first episode.
Yeah.
Inaabangan ko itong Friday na ito. Super love ko. Unang labas niyo sa Respishow. Mabuhay po kayo. Betchay, you're my number one cheerleader. Please come back. Kahit ikaw na lang matirang nanonood ng show ko. Masaya akong pagsilbihan kita. Si Cyril, sabi niya pa, ang problema lang, ayaw ng death penalty itong mga pari at madre sa simbahan katolika sa ating bansa. Bakit kaya? Sana buhayin ng ating gobyerno ang death penalty. During Inquisition,
Gusto ko lang mag-comment dito. No? Alam mo, itong mga pare, parang hindi siguro nagre-research.
Right.
No? Alam nyo po, you can talk and look for it, the death penalty. Alam nyo, isa sa mga pinakakilalang santo ng simbahang katoliko is Saint Augustine. No?
Alright.
Saint Augustine. At si Saint Augustine, he talks about death penalty. In the sense that death penalty is necessary to keep the state and to protect the state from those that are attacking it. No? For example, kung ang peace and order mo, ang security mo ay nasisira dahil meron mga kriminal na gumagawa ng kriminal, the state is expected to defend itself, no? Kanya yung death penalty. This is Saint Augustine. Si Thomas Aquinas also said something about in the same respect. Saint Thomas, dalawa pong santong kilalang-kilala, philosopher tsaka prince of the church.
Patron saint ng Ateneo Law.
Yeah, Thomas Aquinas, no?
No, Thomas Aquinas? No, Thomas More pala.
Thomas More. Thomas More was a legislator.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Saint Thomas More. Now, etong si Saint John Paul II, etong nakaraan Pope, 2 Pope, 3 Popes ago, no? Etong Pope na ito, meron din siyang sinabi. In effect saying that the state has a right to defend itself. But, meron siyang kulatilya, no? But all the time, must act, no? That life is precious, is precious, and it is God given.
Right.
But the state has a right to defend itself, which means if they file a law, no, come up with a law that says in defense of the state, that is their right. No? Yun ang sinasabi ni John Paul II. Kaya eto mga pare na hindi nakakaintindi, no? Palaging gusto lang nilang pakita na siguro meron silang pinoprotektahan na mga ibang, alam mo na mga ibang pare, mga terorista, pinoprotektahan nila, no? Dahil lang hinahabol ng isang politiko. Let's say, may hinahabol si Presidente Duterte, itatago nila itong isa, no? Na kunwari witness against the president. Pero silang kukup ko. No?
Right.
Yung mga ganyan, dapat wag nang gawin ng mga simbahan, ng mga bishop sa mga pari yan. Masama yan eh. Wag na kayong sumali sa ganyan.
Alright. Zenia Arcilia, good evening, Sir Butch, in Attorney Harold, watching in Hong Kong. God bless you both. God bless you, girl. Pero mas gusto ko, attorney, may death penalty para yung mga rapists, yung mga pumapatay tulad kay Red Santillan na pinatay nila na walang kalaban-laban, mga pulis pa ang gumawa nun. Till now, di mabigyan ng justice. Tama ka po dyan, Sir Butch. Harap-harapan na talaga tayo ginagago ang taong bayan dahil yan sa mga kurap na oligarch. Benji Castro, good evening po, KDP, Sir Butch. God bless po sa inyo. At sa lahat ng narito, good evening, Sir Cyril. Hey, are you friends? Koy Maxis Cuerdo is Izquierdo. Is that Spanish? Good PM po, Sir Butch and Sir Harold. Musta po kayo, attorney? May I ask, are you related with the Respicios of La Union? Pibins, good PM po, Sir Butch and Attorney Harold. Well, Respicio, if you search Google Respicio, hindi masyadong, walang gumagamit ng Respicio. Anywhere, everywhere, kahit sa normal na language na may ibig sabihin or as pangalan. Ang hypothesis ko is, yung Respicio na assign sa native na Filipinos noon dun sa may bandang northwest ng Luzon. Kasi noon yung pag-assign nila ng last name is alphabetical ata. So may kita mo dun sa may bandang Ilocos, may P, may R. Yung nanay ko, taga-Bantay Ilocos Sur, Paz. Yung Respicio, apparently, galing sa Ilocos Norte. Indeed, kapag nakakausap ko yung mga Respicio, kami mga Respicio nasa Isabela. So I think, nag-migrate sa taas, pumunta Cagayan, and then pumunta Isabela. Maraming Respicio doon. And then may Respicio din sa Ilocos Norte. And meron ding Respicio, naalala mo, meron ding time na nag-migrate yung mga taga-Luzon papuntang Mindanao. Merong Respicio din dun sa Davao. May politics. Sa place nila Duterte, Respicio before Duterte. I think I don't know. Respicio din doon. And since mga Ilocano, ang pinaka may mag-migrate na ethnic group sa Philippines, nasan sila kung saan, di ba? So, merong mga Ilocano na napunta sa Guam, napunta sa Hawaii, may maririnig ka, may Respicio din doon. I think Senator Atay sa Ubanusa. Hindi ko sila kilala. Pero kung nagkaroon kami ng reunion, siguro may 5 classroom ang mapupuno namin. Tapos, kapag ita-trace namin yung ancestor namin, siguro kaya namin i-trace ng 5 generations. I think.
Very good.
Alright. Lourdes Cock, hello Sir Butch and Mr. Harold. I agree for the death penalty. Imagine kung maisabatas ito, napakaganda para mabawasan ang mga siga at mga kriminal. From Accra City, West Africa. Hello there, Lourdes. Sir Butch, Mr. Harold, sa Amsterdam ay pan-karaniwan ang marijuana sa mga pub and grill. Na-shock ako at Mr. ko ay no offer lang yon kung gusto mo. But it is legal sa kanilang batas. Huwag mo lang iuwi. Alright.
Okay.
Would you like that? Dito sa Philippines?
Huwag mo lang iuwi. Okay. So you have to take it there.
Sa pub?
Sa pub. No?
Okay. Oo nga, no? Yeah. You don't usually go to a pub, take marijuana, and kill some people outside the pub, di ba? You usually take drugs inside your house and then you go crazy and you go outside and kill people and rape people. That's sound. Mel Pahantoy Marcos, salute po sa inyo. Go, go, go for the humanity.
Yeah.
RJ Havellana, mabuhay! Long live, sir! Dora Vega, good evening, mga sirs. Good evening, ma'am. Virginia Malonzo, good evening po, Sir Butch and Attorney Respicio. Hello! Ernie Ocampo, good evening po sa inyo, Prof. Butch Valdes and Attorney Harold Respicio. To the Respishow with exclamation mark. That is another show of KDP. Mabuhay ang KDP, mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Heart Angel, punch, punch, clap, heart. Sheherezade Alonto. Good evening po, Sir Butch and Attorney Respicio. Si Noy Noy Abnoy ay Abnoy kasi sunod-sunuran lang kay Butch Abad. Huwag na lang, ilagay mo ng last name. At walang Santos! At walang Valdes! Butch Abad Santos Valdes. At iba pa niyang cabinet members. So, anyari, si Butch ang nagpatakbo ng Pilipinas, hindi si Abnoy Noy. Alright. Igzy Buoy Lifestyles. Si Trey Duterte mismo ang pinakaganit sa lahat. Galing mismo sa bibig niya na magpasakop na lang daw tayo sa China kasi ang daming kwarta talaga lumalabas sa bibig. Parang kawatan yung nagsalit. Hindi ko naiintindihan yan. Ano yung nagsalit? Nagsalita. Okay, parang kawatan yung nagsalita. Herrick Ortiz, magandang gabi. God bless po. God bless, sir.
Yeah.
Truth shall prevail. Good evenings po, mga kababayan at mga katipon. May batas po ba para sa rights natin na ayaw sa experimental tusok? I think wala pa namang batas that forces you to take a vaccine, right?
Wala pa eh. Pero it's like baka magkaroon ng executive order. Pwede ba yun?
No!
Hindi
Ang pwede lang mag-curtail sa karapatan ng tao ay batas. And only to some extent, given the limitations of the Constitution, not by executive order. Executive order ay hindi batas. Galing yan sa executive branch.
Mhm.
Ang batas is galing sa Congress. Yes to death penalty po, Attorney Respishow at Sir Butch, para sa mga oligarko nagpagsamantala at sa mga kasabwat nitong pandemic, ubusin po lahat sila. Wow, sige yung topic
Sandali lang.
natin.
Komento dito sa mandatory na vaccine. No? Is that lawful?
I think kapag nagpasa ng batas na may mandatory vaccine, automatic dadalhin yan ng SEC. Ay, SEC. Sa SE ng sino mang sensible na citizen. And i-question yan sa Supreme Court. Anong sasabihin ng Supreme Court? Pwede bang pilitin ang tao, i-compel ang tao para sa ganitong object? So, police power yun. Police power yun. So, may mga standards. The one standard, viable ba? Sound ba tong object na to? Para ma-justify yung curtailment ng rights? Isang standard, kailangan ba talaga i-curtail yung rights? Kailangan ba talaga ito yung means para ma-reach yung object? So, isang set of standards lang yun, Butch. Marami pang standards ang ina-apply. Pero more or less, ganun yung idea.
I see.
Roland Salvador, ang mga mambabatas po ay di kukuha ng batong ipupukpok sa kanilang mga ulo. Kaya po, malabong maibalik ang death penalty sa bansa natin. PH. Unang-una kasi tatamaan yung mga nasa gobyerno. Angry face! Eric Rose, Respishow Duton. That's my cousin. From Isabela. Nasaktan ka ba sa sinabi ko maraming kopyahan sa school? Umamin ka! Pero online daw naman sila. Online sila.
Hi, Kuya!
Hi, Kuya! Heart eyes and full heart. Glenn Buwan, would you agree that laws first and foremost should be based on common sense? If so, why do we have complicated and confusing laws? Siyempre, common sense. Pero, oxymoron yung common sense because common sense is not so common. It's actually advanced sense. And the default sense is foolish sense. No sense or nonsense. In layman's term, BS. So, if so, why do we have complicated, confusing laws? Yeah, that's a problem with computers eh. Not really with computers. Pero, that's a problem if masyadong, pag maraming facilities yung gumagawa ng isang bagay. Kung titignan mo yung history, yung mga batas noon, sobrang ikli. Ito lang to itong adventurous, idea ko pero hindi seryoso. Noong unang panahon, ang ikli ng mga decree, di ba? Mga edits, isang page, so sobrang ikli. Tapos alam mo agad kung nag-violate kayo o hindi. Tapos ngayon, sobrang haba ang kakabal. Tapos yung hirap basahin at hindi mo alam kung alin yung preamble, alin yung crime talaga, alin yung etchos lang na mga sinasabi. So hindi mo alam kung anong gagawin mo. Magugulat ka na lang, oops, naka-violate na pala ako. Ay, legal pala yun. Ang iniisip ko is, noong unang panahon kasi, puro sila, sulat-sulat lang. Ang hirap magsulat. Ang hirap magsulat, walang computer. So hanggang isang page lang. Tsaka mahirap dalhin sa lahat ng corners ng reel mo, yung isang scroll na gano'n. Hindi mo pwedeng magdala ng madami, masyadong mabigat. Ngayon kasi, may typewriter, ang haba. Kung mag-type, akala mo, feel na feel. Talagang ang galing sa English daw. So isusulat, lahat na lang ng pumasok sa ulo, isusulat. Pero in the last analysis, kung titignan mo, hindi kailangan lahat yun. Kasi, mag-iisip ka, and then, hindi pala kailangan kasi merong conclusion of law na ganito, kasi merong consequence na ganito, so pwede ganito. Therefore, hindi ko nilalagay yun. Pero sa mga masyadong bibo, dinagay niya na lang para daw sigurado at para nandun na nasa harap mo. Kaso nga lang, ang haba-haba na tulad. Aminin ko, ganoon din ako magsulat ng contract. Para ma-impress yung client, and para mukhang professional, kasi yung client magreklamo, ang laki ng bahay sa'yo, tapos isang page lang. Hindi sila yung mga client. Sinasabi ko lang ito dahil effective siya sa batas. Effective siya talaga. Kung legal na pag-usap effective. Kaso nga lang, pag dinala mo sa court, paano kung hindi rin masyadong marunong yung judge na tumingin? At sabi niya, bakit ang ikli nito? Tapos walang mga ganitong provision. Tapos hindi siya marunong mag-legal analysis para siya na ang maglagay sa kontrata kung ano talaga yung provisions ng law. Paano mag-analyze, paano mag-reduce. Para kahit hindi nakasulat dito, implied na sana. Hindi siya marunong mag-ganon. Tapos ang gagawin na lang, since wala dito, talo ka na. Yun yung mga iniwasan, kaya sobrang haba. Kaya sobrang hinahabaan at para masaya din yung client. And then para masaya rin yung boss ng mga lawyers sa taas. ilang magkano ang billables mo dito, ilang oras, bakit ang ikli? Diba? Dapat yung ma-reward yung kakonti. I think ganun din kapag nagsulat sila ng mga batas. But I don't think merong sound reason, unlike sa mga contracts na baka may misinterpret ng judge, para habaan mo ng sobra yung batas. Kasi mas mahirap. Ang point ng batas is i-publicize. I-communicate mo sa tao kung ano yung bawal at kung ano yung pwede. Di ba ang hirap kapag hindi mo naiintindihan? Dapat maikli lang. Dapat medyo ikli-iklihan natin. Pero ngayon merong mga ibang batas na sobrang ikli. Pero yung mga ibang wala masyadong consequence sa batas. Pero yung mga bibo na batas, yung mga sinasabi ko sa inyo, lalo na yung mga game-changing kumbaga. Parang mga groundbreaking. Halimbawa, yung mga violence against women. Comprehensive dangerous drugs. Di ba? May kakaiba, sarap pakinggan. Kaya ang haba.
Mas meron pang ganito, Harold, yung may batas, pagkatapos hindi pa pwede yan dahil wala pa siyang implementing law.
Rules and regulations. Yeah, IRR, di ba? Parang narinig yan. Implementing rules and regulations, mas mahabang version ng law. Law, hindi. Isipin mo, kapag may batas na naipasa, more often than not, merong agency na gagawin or merong agency na i-assign yung batas na yan. At meron pang isa, may kakambal yun. Merong budget! Yummy!
Budget!
May budget! Alright, di ba? Sarap. So may budget na yung agency, may budget yung bagong board. O di ba? So syempre, para sulit yung budget, kailangan nila magtrabaho. And part ng trabaho nila, naging practice na gumawa ng IRR. Ibig sabihin ng IRR, okay, ganito namin i-implement yung batas. Okay, may batas, kami yung inatasan na mag-implement ng batas. So, ganito namin i-implement ng batas ayon sa rules namin. Basta gusto ko lang i-document. So, kapag gusto mong mag-prosecute sa body namin na ayon sa batas, ito ang sundin mo. So, kung gusto mong mag-avail ng rights under sa batas, ito yung mga requirements. Mga ganon. The standard is dapat yung IRR within pa rin ng limitations ng batas. It must not exceed yung binibigay ng batas.
Right.
Alright. Where are we?
NC Carion.
NC Carion. Pinakakurap na gobyerno na yata tayo meron. Grabe, mula itaas hanggang baba. Open ang nakawan. Alright. Melchor Ermino, good evening po mga sir. Magkomento lang po, opinion ko lang po ito. Sa ngayon, wala nang batas. Ang batas, ngayon si Duque. Duque is
the Secretary of Health.
Alright.
And what he says is followed by the President that kung kailan ka mag-MCQ, ACQ, o lockdown, siyang nagsasabi. No?
Alright. Do you agree with MCQs in general?
No, I don't agree at all with anything. I don't agree with Duque from the very beginning. No. Because as Department of Health, the first thing that he should have done when this pandemic was being announced is to teach the public how to strengthen your immunity. Sabihin nyo, ganito magpapalakas laban sa sakit. Ito mga vitaminang importante. Ito dapat ang diet nyo. Okay? Department of Health, number 1. Number 2, titingnan nila kung anong kakailanganin. Bakit lockdown? Agad-agad, sabi niya, lockdown. No? Gusto sabihin, magseserado ka. Pag nagserado ka, yung mga taong nagtatrabaho araw-araw, yung mga daily wage earners, arawan sila no? Walang trabaho. Gutom, patay.
Yeah.
No? Magkakasakit pa ng ibang klaseng sakit. At yun ang mangyari. Ganyan ang ginawa ni Duque. Sa palagay ko, mas maraming namatay dahil sa mga lockdown MCQ ni Duque kaysa sa COVID mismo. Mas marami. Maybe 10 times more. No?
Alright. You know what? Dito sa corner ng Ortigas Avenue and dito sa may papuntang Tiendesitas, I can count. Rumami yung mga nagpapanhandle ng at least 5.
Mga nanglilimos.
Mas dumami. And kasi nga siguro dahil wala na silang hanap buhay. Ito ang experience ko, Butch, sa mga CQ. Yung mga kumokontra ng CQ, galit na galit kasi they are being held at home. Pero some of them still go outside and try to earn a living.
Right.
Like myself. But I follow the regulations. Pero galit na galit sila. Yung mga nagsusupport ng CQ, they keep themselves inside their home. So if you think of it, may CQ man o wala, yung mga totoong nag-worry about sa CQ, nasa loob na talaga ng bahay yan at any rate. Protektado na sila. Pero paano yung mga nagre-reklamo ng CQ na sa tingin nila ay wala namang basis yung CQ or gusto nila maghanap buhay?
Tama.
Bakit sila napipigilan ngayong lumabas o maghanap buhay? Kung na-recognize naman nila yung risk ng paglabas, and sa tingin naman nila ay hindi naman ganun kataas yung chances na makakuha ng COVID. Whereas, almost certain na magugutom sila kapag hindi maghahanap buhay.
Dapat magbigay ng warnings ang tsaka guidelines ang gobyerno. Pero hindi mo pipigilin na mabuhay. Kasi mas maraming pinapatay ang gobyerno dito ngayon, no? Kisa dyan sa COVID na sinasabi nilang pinipigilan nila.
I can tell you definitely, lahat ng business ngayon is bagsak. Bagsak. Hindi lang talaga bagsak na parating yung naririnig na bagsak. Alright, tagal na yan. Pero, ako mismo ang nagsasabi sa yung mga clients, ayaw na magbayad. Ayaw na magbayad. Maraming clients, ang pumupunta, prospective clients, maraming problema kasi nga COVID, wala ng trabaho, nalugi, walang nagbabayad na kliyente, etc. Pero, hindi nagbabayad sa attorney kasi wala rin silang pera. So, wala ring business.
Ayun na po.
My gosh. Kaso na tayo.
Feel lang.
B. Alice, feel lang walang death penalty kaya pugad ng mga... Alright, dot.
Yeah.
I get you, girl.
Philippines lang ang walang
Yeah. Reg Gonzalez, hello. How can a case on the president be successful with regards to Article 12, Section 22, refusing to reclaim public utilities during crisis? Alright, I think I know that section.
Yeah.
I discussed that during the first episode, but I don't mind discussing it again. The state can choose to take over public utilities. So who is the state? Is it the Congress, the SC, or the President? It is the President. So the President can call for the provision.
State of emergency.
If he doesn't call the provision, is that actionable? Can you compel the President to call that provision? Filing a case at the Supreme Court? No, because the Supreme Court will tell you that is a political question. That is a political call. So let him decide. But if he decided to call and you think that the implementation is not ideal, can you go to the Supreme Court and question the implementation or the grounds of the calling or the circumstances of the methods? Yes, Supreme Court will say, all right, he called, and maybe the calling is not right because the circumstances are not met. Or the calling is right, the circumstances are not met, but this is not the way to do it because the Constitution says this. Saan na tayo?
I just wanted to add to that what you were saying, and part of the question is the president had called for a state of not emergency, but a state of health emergency or something like that. Now, I suppose there is no article that says anything about the state of health emergency, but the Article 12, Section 17 and 18 say that the president is a state of emergency where national interest on health and economics are involved. No? And in so doing, the government can take over the public utilities temporarily or permanently. No? And so on and so forth. Pati na yung nasabi na. Now, when he declared the state of emergency on health, was he avoiding the Article 12, or did he declare it in accordance with Article 12?
I'm speculating, but the purpose of declaration is to justify what happens next. For example, you justify a state of calamity to justify the budgets, the spending, because there was a state of calamity. You would not, you could not do that if there were no state of emergency.
Mhm.
In this case, the president may have indeed called for the state of, what do you call that, emergency? Emergency according to that.
On health.
Yeah. He may have called the emergency satisfying the requirements. All right. But has he already done actions to implement that or to follow that through? Like taking over, like spending this, spending that, making extraordinary measures, taking extraordinary measures? Not yet. But, he declared this. All right. But let's wait for the consequences. If he does this set of actions, and this set of actions necessitate the declaration of state of emergency, then all right. But if he does not declare a state of emergency, and thus this set of actions, that's illegal.
Well, that's why nga, it was a very dubious situation when the announcement was made on the state of emergency, because we immediately thought that it was on Article 12. But then there seemed to have been a effort to avoid talking about the public utilities.
Right.
And this is the situation, in effect, to save the oligarchs from having to surrender public control of public utilities to government.
All right.
That's the situation.
Make your wishes. Make your wishes. You got the requisite. There has been a declaration. Now, the next step. The Vertex TV. Good evening, Sir Butch, Valdes, and Attorney Harold. Watching from Tandang, Surigao del Sur. Dito sa lugar namin noon, daming NPA, pero dahil sa LCAC, tumahimik ang NPA, kaya isa sa pinakamagandang program ng governments. What can you say about NPA, Butch?
Well, this LCAC is a program of anti-NPA and insurgency, and it's headed by a very professional military man. His name is General Parlade, and the reason it is very successful in some of these areas that are being cleaned up of the NPA is because General Parlade has implemented a different approach. Dati kasi ang approach ng military, pag may NPA, banatan, bombahin, tapos iiwan na, di siyempre may babalik din yon, basta military bomba. Ang ginagawa ni General Parlade is not 90% military, but ang 10% military, pero 90% propaganda. Meaning, he goes to the communities and starts teaching the people about what is needed and so on and so forth. And opening up the arms of government for people to come and be part of the system, and being able to offer them opportunities, jobs, and so on and so forth. That became his role. And he has been very effective.
Right. I think that's nice, educating the NPAs themselves, because pick one NPA right now from Sierra Madre and then ask him, what is your purpose? Why did you join NPA? Why are you fighting? Why are you risking your life? Alam niya kaya yung sagot? Yung ng NPA na recruit na galing sa mga bulubundukin. Alam mo, may nakakalaro akong NPA nung bata. Kasi yung asawa ng kasama namin sa bahay, naglalaba. Ang tawag namin sa kanya, Commander Ed. Because commander siya talaga ng NPA. And then galing sila sa bundok, Sierra Madre, and then meron din mga bata na mas matanda sa akin. Kalaro ko sila, although inaaway nila ako parang laki ng katawan. Tapos tinatanong ko siya kung ano, ba't ka NPA? Ba't ka NPA? Tapos sabi niya, hindi niya rin alam, pero namimigay daw sila ng sardinas. Namimigay daw sila ng sardinas. Si Commander Ellie na sinasabi ko sa'yo, I don't think gano'n siya ka-educated para maintindihan yung ginagawa niya. Pero ang galing niyang magkwento ng barilan. Ang galing niya talaga, meron daw lahat ng mga nasa baba daw sila na kubo, tapos meron daw soldiers sa taas. So, gumapang daw talaga siya pataas, lahat ng kaibigan niya namatay. So, akala ng soldiers daw, patay na. So, bumaba sila, nasa taas siya, pinatay niya daw lahat. Hindi ko alam kung totoo yun o hindi.
Totoo nga.
Magaling siya magkwento about sa ganon, pero mahilig kasi siya uminom, drunkard siya. Siya yung tipong kapag umuwi sa bahay niya, nasa likod lang ng bahay, alam mo naman sa probinsya, nasa likod ng bahay mo, may bahay doon na ano. Hindi na siya nakakauwi sa bahay niya dahil sa sobrang lasing, nakakatulog na lang siya, and then kayakap niya is dang ng kalabaw. Na natuyo. Ganon siya kalasinggero, ganon namin siya parating kinakantsawan. Pero never siyang nagsalita about sa principles ng communism or NPA. So I think hindi niya naiintindihan. I think kung na-explain sa kanya.
Actually, yung ideology wala na eh. Itong mga kwento nung... Kasi naging guest namin dito, former NPA commanders, at mataas ng level, no? Si Eric, tsaka yung mga sila amihan, nandito sila eh. They surrendered, no? And so we were interviewing them. They have actually become an extortionist group eh, no? And yung pera nila nanggagaling nga dito sa Congress, they have about 10 different party list operations there, and they're getting close to 100 million pesos each year, no, as pork barrel. Tapos ito sa dalawang telecom companies lang, yung kay Pangilinan tsaka Ayala, kumikita daw sila 500 million pesos a year, no? As protection money, extortion money lang, no? So, hindi lang yan, meron pa yung mga politiko, no? Kasi ginagawa silang security ng politiko pag kumakampanya, pumupunta sa mga libliban. So, kasama nila din yung NPA, no? So, it's a money machine, no, that they're doing, and that's why they don't want to let go of their guns, because it's the guns that make money for them, or else wala na silang pangtakot.
Where do they buy their guns?
I don't know, from iba-iba. Kuminsan sa military na kukuha nila, no? Kuminsan tawag dito, iba-iba ang kanilang guns. Pero isa pang magandang malaman dito, yung before, pag nakita mong kaliwa ka, laban ka sa imperialist ng Amerikano, di ba? Lalaban ka sa imperialist. Ngayon, hindi na nila kalaban ng imperialistong Amerikano. China na ang kalaban nila, no? Bakit? Ang sabi nila kasi they were really CIA-funded people, internationally funded from Europe and the US, leftists. They were not really solid ideologues.
Right.
That's why they don't even go after. Imagine yung mga nuclear warships ng Amerika dito sa bansa natin, they're flying our territorial waters, hindi lang yung economic zones, no?
So 12 nautical miles or 24?
Yes, 12. Nandyan sila. Nakagarahe nga sa Subic,
Right.
o sa Zamboanga, o sa somewhere in Surigao, no? Nakagarahe doon yung mga warships nila. Pero nobody's talking about them.
Right.
And we're all talking about a disputed area where nandito yung mga Chinese fishing boats na ninanakawan daw ng isda ang ating mga fishermen.
Right.
That is the narrative now. But they're all quiet about the fact that America has actually occupied us. No? Yun ang nangyayari.
Alright. Josie Velasquez, good evening mga sirs watching from Italy. Nakaabot din sa inyo. Please keep safe and God bless po sa inyong lahat. Thank you. Glenn Buwan, ang mga quasi-judicial bodies are supposed to simplify and reduce time of proceedings by relaxing some rules, pero nagtatagal pa rin. In your opinion, bakit kaya ito? I always, I took MCLE, an MCLE course this afternoon. Ang MCLE is yung continuing education program ng mga lawyers. You have to take that every couple or few years.
Yeah.
So I'm taking one now. I took one course this afternoon. And yung lesson is pre-trial, new changes sa rules of court, and then my pre-trial na part. Nakaka-relate ako sobra sa pre-trial na part kasi nandun yung opportunity na paikliin yung proceedings. Dun sa complaint, unang magpasa ka ng paper, and then yung kalaban, mag-respond sa paper na yun, walang magagawa ang korte dun eh. And then may periods lang. Ngayon, sabihin natin, nagsampa ng paper, tapos nag-respond ng paper, immediately yung clerk of court nag-issue ng pre-trial. Pam! Pam! Sabi, within X number of days, dapat may issue pre-trial. Pwede niya iset pagka-receive niya ng answer. Alright? Second month. Andun nakita, tapos mag-pre-trial siya kaagad. Agad-agad. And then, so pre-trial, anong pwede mong gawin ng pre-trial? Yung judge, pwede niyang i-push. Nabawasan na lang natin yung issue. Bawasan natin yung fact, yung disputed facts. Bawasan natin yung evidence. Bawasan natin yung witness. Hindi naman sasabihin niya na para siyang dictator na bawas. Hindi. Kailangan mong i-question yung lawyer and yung party. Bakit mo ipe-present ito? Kailangan pa ba yan? Yung issue naman, ganito. Hindi na pala kailangan. O sige po, di na wala. Ba't kailangan mong sabihin tong witness na to? Kailangan pa ba yan? Di na wala. Kasi meron ng witness na ito. O di na wala. Ito, tong issue na to, kailangan pa ba to? Totoo naman talagang issue is, nagbayad ka ba o hindi? Hindi naman na mahalaga yung issue ng about sa resibo, o kailangan mo pang patunayan ito. So, tanggalin na natin yan. Kung ganun kagaling yung judge, sorry sa mga judge, ako lang naman ito, nag-venture lang ako ng mga ideas ko. Pwede niyang mawala yung madaming parte ng issues, evidence, and witnesses. So, instead na mag-schedule ka ng hearing ng 7 months, into the future, 9 months, 12 months in the future, kasi ang dami mong witnesses, ang dami mong evidence, ang dami mong issues. Pwede mong altogether matanggal lahat yun and mag-decide ka na kaagad, right here and there. Nakalagay kasi doon is, the judge can declare na walang issues at mag-decide siya on the pleadings and mag-decide siya summarily. Diba? Ang dali. Ang sarap kapag ginawa yun during pre-trial and then tapos na kagad, sabihin ko sa'yo, tapos may decision kagad in 4 months yung civil case mo. Pero bakit hindi nangyayari? Hindi ko alam kung sadya o hindi, o dahil parang pau din, nasweldohan, kaya hindi masyadong diligent. Ganun lang, alam mo mangyayari. So, try mo pasok sa isang court during pre-trial. Anong gagawin? Alright, you submit pre-trial, you submit, alright. O, counsel, ito, stipulate fact daw. Do you stipulate? Okay, denied. Do you stipulate? Okay, denied. O, admitted daw to. Do you agree? No, denied. Okay, issue. Counsel, do you agree with issue? No, okay, let's take. Mag-restate siya, tapos ang dami. O, evidence. Okay, pre-marking evidence. Ito na lahat evidence mo. Ito lahat ang witnesses mo. Alright, pre-marking na kayo. Tapos, lista na. O, mag-schedule na kayo dyan. Tapos, hindi man lang tinignan yung evidence kung kailangan talaga. Hindi man lang in-examine yung mga witness kung kailangan talaga.
Tama.
Hindi man lang nag-ipag-stipulate, o hindi man lang active sa pag-stipulate ng facts. So, therefore, ang dami nangyari. Sobrang haba. Sad. Saan na tayo?
In principle.
In principle, can the people sue the government? If it can, under what circumstances? Can you sue the government, I assume, dahil masyadong pangit yung batas? Hindi. Kasi yung Supreme Court, may power siya na mag-set ng rules of procedure. So, hindi mo masusue yung Supreme Court. Yung quasi-judicial agency na nag-set ng IRR, pwede mo ba siyang isue? Pwede kapag against sa law yung IRR. Pero dahil inefficient yung rule, pwede mo siyang isue? Hindi. Walang nagsasabi na inefficient. Hindi sasabihin ng Supreme Court na inefficient. Kapag hindi na-follow yung rule, halimbawa, dapat mong active na pukpukin yung pre-trial, pero hindi niya pinukpuk yung pre-trial. Pero somehow, kung babasahin mo yung rules, pwede pa rin naman yung ginawa niya na naging passive siya. Acceptable pa rin sa rule. ibabalik ta rin ba ng korte yung decision ng judge? Hindi. Tingnan mo, walang accountability. Ngayon, kung hindi naman yun ang remedy na pinuntahan mo, pero yung remedy mo is sa admin mismo, kasi po medyo hindi siya diligent sa pagtrabaho, pwede niya namang gawin ito, pero medyo naging tamad siya, ganyan lang ang ginawa niya. Meron na bang case na na-decide na gano'n ng Supreme Court? Wala pa. Sa tingin mo, magde-decide ba ang Supreme Court at pagagalitan nila yung kabaro nila? I don't think so. Merong isang book, si Elizabeth Warren, hindi dahil sa kampi ko siya, no? Nakausap niya yung isang Treasury Secretary, no? Ang parating ang remarkable daw na sinabi sa kanya ng Secretary at the time was, alright, sa kahit na anong setting, sa setting natin, sa political setting natin, may insider and an outsider. And then yung mga insider, pinapabayaan lang nila yung mga outsider na magdadakdak. Katulad natin. Pero yung mga insider magpipretend na nakikinig sila pero hindi nila pakikinggan. And among themselves, hindi nila kinokontra ang isa't isa. Yun yung pinakamasakit. Hindi nila kinokontra yung isa't isa. Ibig sabihin, walang nagkikriticize. Walang maverick doon. Walang lumalabas sa phone. In other words, huwag ka masyadong mag-create ng ripple sa loob. Kasi kampi-kampi tayong lahat. Ang kalaban natin, hindi isa't isa ang kalaban natin. So, ganun daw mag-work ang government.
But the only time you can sue, siguro, is when you're bringing up the constitutionality of an action or law, di ba?
Yeah, you can see grave abuse na read mo na yun, di ba? Grave abuse o tsaka judicial review. Kapag yung action is against sa law talaga, pag nabasa mo yung law, ay against nga. Tapos nabasa mo yung Constitution, ay against na. Pero kapag ang sinasabi mo is, sana ginawa niya to, pero hindi naman against yung ginawa niya, hindi naman nanalo. Joseph Keha Santos, good evening, Kuya Attorney Harold Respishow. Hello. Giancarlo Leaño, Attorney, good evening. Hello. Raz Mendoza, the best principle that we are fighting now, even before, is God principle for all humankind. That's love principle. God bless po sa inyo, Prof. Butch, Attorney Harold Respishow. Thanks.
Okay, hanggang dyan na lang po tayo.
Alright, Butch, thank you so much. Ang sarap. This is the best episode. Mapansin ko, every episode is medyo nagiging political yung opinions ko. And I like it. And I like that Butch is still with me. And count on it, Butch will still be with me in the next episode. And I'd like to say hi to my mom, particularly. She requested that I say hi. And hi from Sir Butch.
Magandang gabi po.
Thank you so much.